actually don't know how I got that. Must have been like eyeliner or something. So this is going to be a Gemini-based reading surrounding Gemini. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a Gemini moon. I'm also a water sign. So, well, I'm a Cancer specifically. So I go based off of my moon sign when it comes to anything in my life. So do this Gemini moon reading, or just Gemini sun, moon, rising, and north node reading. Okay. Venus included, Mars included. Actually, just Gemini in general. You could have Gemini anywhere except for Lilith. We don't do Lilith readings here. Okay, so what'd you call it? Let's get this. Master of Communication, Lord of the third house energy. Okay, yeah. So we have Gemini energy coming out as the Eight of Swords. Okay, so Eight of Swords energy is coming out saying that there's some barriers, something that is unknown, something that is being blocked, something that's being played in the face, all that jazz, right? So we're going to clear that energy out. Yeah, Nine of Pentacles energy. So there's a Nine of Pentacles in a reverse blockage that people have been, so individuals have been sending as a challenge. Okay, yeah, they've been sending that energy as a challenge. So we're gonna clear that energy out really quickly. Yeah, it's the Fool in reverse. So there's someone who's like severely ignorant. So we're gonna, because mama figured it out. You know what I mean? I figured it out. I figured it out. So there's someone who's severely ignorant. They think everything is a game, they think everything is a joke, they think that okay to administer some sort of like barriers, burdens, issues, all that jazz, especially in the middle of some sort of succession. So somebody wants us to hit a wall. Let's just say it. I'm going to say it like I am. So I'm in the front lines of this stuff too. You know what I mean? So somebody wants us to hit a wall, right? This is a warning that God gave already. Be careful not to hit a wall. Okay, so they want to be a wall. They want to be a problem in our lives. They want to give us advice. It's always motherfuckers who think that their experience that their experience is some sort of, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they thought. Honestly, we're about to find out. So I'm just gonna orient my cards. So I made this new deck, which has been so helpful. I'm actually gonna be working on it. Oh, also, it's oh, it's like people who aren't faced with the same life impending doom issues who want to give advice that doesn't, you know what I mean, that they can't take. So recently I've been telling people like, yeah, I'm a chef, da 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 da. I'm going through this, I'm doing that. I'm thinking of building this, building that. And all these people want to judge me based off of my age. They want to be like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you cater? I'm like, I don't want to. I'm not going to because I don't want to. People act like it's such a struggle for people to live their life because they think that their life is better or something. And I'm like, if it's so much better, then why don't you take the advice? I don't know why people don't want to take their own advice all of a sudden. Like they got all this advice. I'm like, has that advice ever, like a big question that I would ask is like that, has that advice ever helped you? And then they just look dumbfounded, They look like they're literally like they like why would I ever have to take that advice? I've never been in your position. I'm not this, I'm not that. And it's like that's not even the reality. You know what I mean? So I don't know where these individuals are getting their advice from, but it's definitely not from God. So let's clear this energy out, okay? Because it's not gonna let us do this reading authentically. Basically, it's just not gonna let us do this reading authentically, okay? And I know there's clutter around me and shit like that. Okay, I just have to clean, and I don't feel like doing that because I just like I said, I'm a chef. I work really hard. I work a lot. Okay. So okay, there's a couple more cards here that need to be flipped. Okay. Let's do it this way. Ooh. It's not trying to go that direction. I like shuffling. Okay, let's do it this way, actually. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the energy is really chaotic. Okay. So yeah, somebody is like, okay, Exodus, there it is, bribe giver. I figured. Bribe giver. Contorts self to bind lies to reality, assumes favor behind ordinance. There it is. So it's like they always assume some sort of favor. They assume that like whatever is it is that they're, yeah, it's like they really assume favor. Like, when I'm walking around and there's a, I'm just gonna be honest, there's always a man that thinks that they can bribe me or I be like buy me, right? It's like some type of situation. So I'm walking around and I'm like, no, 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 no. Look at me with my fluffy hair and my caramel skin, whatever. And there they go, trying to like assume, oh yeah, like I can just buy her. Oh, I can just like pay for this and pay for that. Oh, I can just do this and do that to her, right? And it's out of nowhere. When I tell you it's out of nowhere, it's like the weirdest fucking situation. It's like so fucking weird. So like overcoming that. Yeah, look, bribe taker. Yeah, because they themselves are a bribe taker. Thank you, God. So covertly lying for profit, lustful bindings to lies. You see what I'm saying? So Exodus 23, 8, Acts 24, 26, Surah 2, 188, Manusmriti 9, 2, 31, 10 evil acts through your body. So you guys in the collective may be Gemini energies. You guys may be in the frequency of like realizing that the reason why you seem to not be able to go anywhere or move along or move further or get away from situations or, oh my gosh, it's like stereotypes. It's like they want to be the ones to make the stereotypes. Those individuals want to be the ones to make stereotypes. Oh, these types of people are always like this. Oh, these types of people are always like that. They're always trying to suggest as if that their opinion like has any kind of scale of momentum. That's what it is. So they try to act like they are the owners of momentum. They don't own shit. It's going right back to sender. Couple more cards. I don't know how these cards are turning over. Oh, because it's not over. Never mind. Yeah, demonic energy blocks others' lifestyle to transfer interest. Yeah, attempts to dilute importance of trust and sensitivity. Yeah. So they literally, wow. They're so like they're so annoying. But that's basically the energy. I don't know how else to put it. They're boring. I don't know. Anyways, let's keep on going. So you have boaster. There they are. Finally, boaster. Covets against others through assuming justice. Okay, hysterically competes with justice. So basically, it's like they try to act like. And I just had that energy recently. So the cops came over, and this guy opens the door when I could have opened the door. So he opens the door and he's like, "No, I got it. Da, 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 da. It was just this," and I'm just straight up lying about a situation so the cops don't get involved. And so I'm like, no. So the cops are like, oh, all right, yeah, you know what I mean? They say the same things as before, stuff like that. The reason that they're like this is that they're trying to, well, not the reason, the demonic presence within them that's trying to cause all the boastful energy, right? Proverbs 27:2, James 4:16, Surah 31:18, Bhagavad Gita 16:4, 10 evil acts for speech, is because they want to be the pressure, right? The challenge. They want to be the challenge for adapting when regulations are removed. Okay. So they're trying to wait for some sort of regulation to be removed. So for example, for me personally, it's like I will never ever 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 sleep with a nigga, especially for money. You know what I mean? I will never have sex for money. Like that's not what I do, right? So they're trying to make it seem like that's a regulation. You know what I mean? And they're trying to wait for it to be removed so that then they can put pressure for me to now adapt to a situation so that then I have to have sex, for money. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. So That's not going to happen, is being sent back to sender, because that's not a real challenge. They can't be that challenge. They can't assume to be the regulator and the remover of the regulator, the overseer of the regulation. There's a reason that they're not in that position, collective. There's a reason that they're not the like I said, they assume through false ordinance. So they think they're ordained for certain aspects of life, for example, implementing regulations or removing regulations. And now they want to force people to adapt to their own challenges, trying to make it seem like it's circumstantial due to the regulations being removed, right? So this is like through a deregulated market, right? So the nobility there is to have courage. You see what I'm saying? So they want to buy and sell courage. You see what I'm saying? So it's like so it's like they want to be in a on a level where it's like they want to bribe people to be courageous, and then they want to take bribes so that they can seem courageous. This is also that they can pretend to be of growth, right? And they want to make it seem as if they have some sort of responsibility around innovation. And now that's being sent back to sender. They're clearly not a part of the market. The card done flipped in my hand. Like I tossed it and it went. It literally, there's no market for them to be thriving in when it comes to innovation, especially. And so here it is, another thing. They want to be a part of the challenge to put pressure from managing supply. So they themselves don't have any supply, and then they also want to manage supply. You see what I'm saying? They don't have any supply, okay? This is oversupplied market. You see what I'm saying? They're not a part of a market that is oversupplied. So they're actually undersaturated. They're very gray. You see what I'm saying? They're very boring. You see what I'm saying? They don't have any kind of luxury nor wisdom to capacitate the luxury of an oversupplied market. So it's like they're trying to act like they are ready to be receiving some sort of abundance, or they're bound to receive some. They're trying to act like they're bound to receive some sort of abundance, and that you gotta somehow put yourself in a situation so that you can now, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they want to act like they're like they were invited to a situation or something like that. Like that's what I'm saying, y'all. Y'all, they want to act like they're too bound to receive some sort of preserved value, quite literally. So it's like it's like someone who pretends like as if that they're a trust fund kid, or that they're to receive some sort of inheritance, or for example someone who hires a hitman assuming that the hit is going to be taken, already going to the bank to be able to take money deposit for the hit that was, you know what, that's what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, it's not happening. It's just not happening, collective. And they are in denial that it's not happening. Okay, those individuals are in denial. That's what makes them so ignorant. They're in denial that it's not happening. They're not receiving anything. They're not going to receive anything. No one's going to give them anything until, yeah, not until, never. It's never going to happen. They don't, those individuals, yeah, they're being stopped. Quite literally. Look how I stopped them. They're being stopped. Not stopping them. Yeah, temperance energy is here. I'm literally stopping them right now, because the generosity that they're trying to assume people are to give them in order to act as if that people, yeah, exactly. That's why they're not being responded to. These are like, for example, I'm planning on moving. And so I'm trying to find someone to, like, stay with, crash with for a couple months, or maybe a month or two or something like that. You know what I mean? So there are these people who are trying to, like, leverage. They're trying to leverage, right? They're like, oh, well, I'm going to contact so-and-so person and see that. And those people are not replying. You know what I mean? They're not replying. So they're thinking, oh, well, I'm going to let them know. No, 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 no. The reality is I'm not waiting for them to respond. I'm on in order to find someone who is of my caliber. They're trying to put me down to measure by trying to put themselves. So it's like put themselves in a position where they're trying to make themselves seem, they're doing whatever it takes to make it seem as if that they're going to receive something so that they can now provide it to me. You see what I'm saying? It's like, don't worry, next week I'll get it. No, 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 don't worry, next week I'll get it. No, 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 don't worry, tomorrow I'll get it. I'm not waiting for them. It's September 1st. Today is my first day of the challenge, actually, for my gourmet challenge. And I'm busy, 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 busy. Okay? I'm very busy. Okay? And I don't have time for them. So now, when it comes to my generosity, these individuals want to act like, that there's nothing that I could ever be generous about, because they are to receive what it is that they're trying to make seem as their generosity when it's actually my generosity. You see the problem? So collective, That's what's going on. Your gifts are being brought into the picture, is the reality of the situation. Yeah, their judgment is in reverse. Their misery is being seen. Okay, their misery is being seen. How miserable they really are, right, is being seen. Like, and also your power is being brought into the plan. You see that, collective? So, collective, you guys, the plans that you had already made, especially Gemini collective, are most likely aligned with the divine plan, right? Why? Because Gemini is, like I said, the lord of the third house energy. So obviously you're going to be receiving all the plans from God in order for you to follow them, because the way that Gemini works isn't by barking orders and demands at people, right? You don't tell a Gemini, you don't get gifts from a Gemini by forcing them to give you those gifts, because you're going to get a curse instead, right? You try to make Geminis work for you, and Geminis will work against you, right? Like, that's how Gemini works. Gemini is a very free will energy, right? Is a very boundless energy, right? Mercury goes wherever Mercury wants to go. Mercury, when Mercury wants to go retrograde, it will decide what kind of retrograde it is. It will decide how it wants to go. You know what I mean? Like, Mercury isn't here to like work for you type shit. Yeah, wait a minute. Mercury is an angel. I just remembered. Yeah, Mercury is an angel. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Isn't Mercury even a Dominion type angel? That's what I'm saying. So Mercury isn't working for those idiots, right? Mercury works for God. Yeah, death. Period. These people really thought that they were going to bind Mercury. Literally. They really thought they were going to bind Mercury away from kingdom type stuff. Mercury works for God. Mercury works with kingdom. There's kingdom. There's all of us in kingdom. Those of us who are in kingdom. Right. Those individuals are bound to death, is what they're bound to. And so now when it comes to our generosity, they wanted to siphon it, not realizing that, look, like, being generous to them is like throwing our generosity into a ditch, quite literally. Yeah, exactly. Being generous with them is like providing our generosity to hell. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. And we're not doing that, collective. So we're moving on right now. This is looking really good, collective. Yeah, those individuals are longing for emotional balance and creativity. They can't have it because they've committed to providing people with anxiety. You know what I mean? They've committed themselves to being to forcing people into anxiety. That's what they've committed themselves to, right? They're definitely di- attempting to disregard they're definitely attempting to disregard feminine energy, divine feminine energy. Wild. They're trying to, okay, here it is what it is. Here we have that, right? But anyone who's trying to make it seem like their experiences are unique definitely doesn't have a unique experience of any type of sorts, right? They're also trying to hide the absolute boredom within their own experience. Yeah, with the false witness persona in reverse is going back to sender. Yeah, they try to twist or invent accounts to sway judgment, but they can't invent anything anymore. You see what I'm talking about? They always want to assume people need their help. They even put people in positions where it's like they make it seem like you could be anyone. Like, I was busy telling this guy, like, I'm making NFTs, right? So I'm like, yeah, but NFTs are much more important. Da, 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 da. I'm not explaining it, right? And they're busy saying that they're into crypto, but they don't see the value in NFTs. Then they want to discredit the value of other NFTs. And then they want to be like, I'll help you with your NFTs. What? Like, yeah, no, that was silly. That was real silly. And so, like, as I was laughing about the whole situation, they're thinking I'm laughing because I'm having a good time. I'm laughing my ass off because I'm like, wow, this guy really thinks I'm gonna, like, what? Like, I need his help to build a website. And this is the part about it too, right? Right? It's like they always assume that their skill level is like so much more advanced than anything that you could learn, to the point of even attempting to make things seem like difficult for them because of the market that they're in. You see what I'm saying? It's like they were complaining, the person was complaining about how like AI might be taking over. And then they were looking at me like I was the one worried that AI was going to take over, to the point of actually asking me like, "Oh, are you worried that AI is up?" I'm like, "What? No." I'm like, "AI is actually quite shitty right now, especially since it doesn't actually help with the creative conceptual, understanding. And people are not going to like shit that isn't, innovative and creative, because people are, don't feel that they can relate to, false, product placement bullshit. Like no one cares about that. Like people really want to be able to see who you really are in an art field. Like this is why I'm in San Francisco. It's like people really want to see who I am. People really want to see how I'm going to survive. People really want to see how I'm going to be overcoming this challenge. People really want to see. I'm like, yeah, I can make 3 or 4 paintings a month. I used to make around 20, 30 paintings a month, no problem. So I could make about, 10, 15, 20 paintings a month and be just fine, living just okay. You know what I mean? But they're like waiting for me to like, you know what I mean? To like fail, like in front of them as I'm sitting there telling them about how I'm succeeding. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay, well, you know what I mean? Like if you're waiting to fail, like you're never going to get that. You're never going to get that. You're going to be the one like, have you ever seen someone dig their own fucking grave and then look at you behind a fence and be like, you're going in here, for them to fall into the grave? Like this shit is hilarious. Like they're digging their own grave is what it's giving. And they were planning on like for whatever weapons it is that they were trying to form against Collective. Yeah. So Veil Weaver persona. Covers events with layers of misdirection. You see what I'm saying? So they're trying to make it, yeah, they were trying to make it seem like they had awareness of events, of situations. So slanderer accuses everyone of same self-guilt. Slanderer, right? Projects self-hysteria at anyone, basically at anyone. So whatever hysteria that they feel like that they have, whatever it is that they slander. Like, you see what I mean? So now Collective Gemini energy is waking up to slandering energy before it even comes around. So you can hear it, you can smell it, you can feel it, you can tell when someone's trying to slander. Because the only reason people want to, the only reason those individuals want to sleep with me or you guys Collective is so that then later they could slander and try to take over our possibilities of eventfulness. You see what I mean? And that's really what it is. They want to live a really eventful life, but they want to also control the kind of events that they have in their life. You see what I'm saying? They want to make it seem like they have some sort of consideration when it comes to how God plans out these events, instead of accepting that they have no control over what kind of event God can create on earth to do whatever it is that he needs, and not needs, that he sees fit for the Collective. They want to make it seem like they got some jurisdiction. You see what I'm saying? And jurisdiction is really what they're looking for. Okay? Sodomite. There it is. Actively corrodes the vessel with false intimacy, competes sexually with opposite gender. Okay, sodomite. Right. You see what I'm saying now? And that's where they want to compete with people with opposite genders with jurisdiction. So you see what I mean now? So where it's like I got jurisdiction, my jurisdiction over my vessel has to do with also being like having jurisdiction over my womb, having jurisdiction over my hair, having jurisdiction over my body, having jurisdiction over my senses, having jurisdiction over my mindset, right? Having jurisdiction over my capabilities, my junctures, my avenues, my vocation, my career, my money. You know what I mean? I've got jurisdiction over those things. My authority is with the Most High God. You see what I'm saying? The Most High God has chosen me and the jurisdiction and my availability and my authority to be a part of his kingdom. That is something that has been proven already, right? With Leviticus 18:22, Romans 1:26-27, Surah 7:80-81, 10 evil acts, third body evil. You see what I'm saying? They want to make it seem like they're not trying to challenge people with the pressure for survival during a sudden disruption. You see, so they're trying to cause a sudden disruption. They're trying to be the sudden disruption within a crisis disrupted market when there's already been a sudden disruption. You see what I mean? So they don't want people to be aware of the events that occur after what you call it, a crisis disrupted market, and what kind of event had caused the sudden disruption. You see what I mean? So they want to be able to achieve some sort of resilience, right? They want to be able to be seen as resilient over people who are actually resilient. You see what I'm saying? Um, and they want to, yeah, this is so that they can actually achieve some sort of continuity all for themselves within a market. You see? So they're trying to, I just want to make it clear that you can't, there's things that you can do to have a market within a market, right? You can have a market within a market, but one thing you can't do is falsify a market within an already, like, you know what I mean, existent market, right? So there's continuity, but then they want to act as if that they're providing within a false market in order to falsify jurisdiction within a crisis disrupted market, right? Because they want to act like they're, you know what I mean, they're providing anything that could meet essential needs. You see what I mean now? So what is an essential need for me right now is a good place to stay. That's not this fucking weird ass building. That's actually a business that I had no idea about, right? And like what'd you call it, finding a better place to live, and also probably cleaning out my closet and stuff like that, right? Finishing up my paintings is an essential need of mine. Like, I need to be able to provide this to people. They can be able to receive the luxury products they need. So it might not be an essential need for them, but it's an essential need for me. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why it's a crisis disrupted market, right? So collective, they want to fill you up with ideas that aren't supportive of the potential that you're actually going through with. You see what I mean, collective? So now with Gemini energy coming through, right? Yeah, these people wanted to it's still coming through. Yeah, they're gonna have some sort of ego death, or some sort of ego death is evident. Yeah, they're gonna have some sort of ego death. Yeah, whatever idea it is that they had about me, like, yeah, Knight of Swords, they thought that there was some sort of impulsive energy. Yeah, so whatever they thought about Gemini being like, oh, impulsive and, you know, like undefined, like easily molded, easily shaped, easily seduced, easily contorted, stuff like that. Like, yeah, the cycle is complete about that. Whatever false concept that they had is being shattered, because whatever it is that is rising right now for Gemini collective has to do with spiritual, like spiritual rest. What is that? Yeah, so like elevation, right? Elevation, right? So there's an elevation coming through with the collective, right? For the collective with God, right? And they can't handle it. They can't handle it. Yeah. Yeah. They expected to be like seen as a provider, when in reality, yeah, a companion of some sort of, they expected to take away from you your idea. Okay, so here it is. They want to prove you wrong, Gemini collective. They want to prove you wrong, and they're trying to ignore the fact that they already proved themselves wrong by competing against you when it comes to your own righteousness. You see what I mean? Because you're obviously correct within a situation, Gemini. You're obviously righteous within a situation. You're obviously on the right track, Gemini. And they want to make it seem like you're wrong, they know better, but they're doing that so covertly, right? It's like, I was half expecting the guy to say, well, my therapist told me, you know what I mean? I was waiting for that. But they were holding that back. Why? Because they don't have the same creative inspiration as Gemini would. You know what I mean? And that's really what's going on here. Yeah, exactly. That burden is being lifted, it's being given to God, because there's freedom here for the collective. You see what I mean? There's freedom here for the collective within the inheritance of our meekness. We don't have to boast. We don't have to exaggerate. We don't have to lie. We don't have to steal. We don't have to do any of that. We don't have to feel pressured within a false market, right? The challenge here is to survive during a certain disruption. the sudden disruption is that competition of male female energy, right? That's it. So how has the collective survived within that competition of male female energy? Well, some of us chose to, put in our document paperwork that we choose to be seen as non-binary. So now we're either seen as both male and female or neither male and female. You see what I'm saying now? So that's one way to survive. Another way is to entirely change your understanding of your identity, which, like, for example, for me, I'm an earth angel, right? I'm not only human, but I'm also an angel. So I'm able to, like, quite literally morph. You know what I mean? So I don't have to, like, you know what I mean? I don't have to consider the lack of options that they have. Like, that's actually a huge thing of mine. So they couldn't even think to give me a bribe, right? Why? Because they wouldn't know what it is that I would take from them. But I'm going to let you, collective, know that we are taking less than nothing from them. Do you understand? We are taking less than nothing from those people. We took less than nothing from them. Exactly. So that's another thing. Right. Yeah. We took less than nothing from them. So, for example, like a thief in the night. You know what I mean? So face changer persona in reverse, that's being flipped. So they really did have a plan, right? They really did have a plan of, and this is something that they've probably done before to multiple people, but they thought that they were going to alter some sort of style. They thought they were going to attach to powerful people like us and ourselves by trying to make it seem like we were less than or that they needed it. Throne Watcher. And then waits patiently. Here it is. See? Waits patiently for a leader to falter so they can take over. You see what I'm saying now? Yep. Okay. All right, now we're moving on, collective. Thank you so much for watching this reading, but I hope you understood. Yeah, like thief in reverse. Like I said, like a thief in the night, you got to really understand how it works, right? Obsessive and sneered. Yeah, that's their energy, collective. That's the totality and collective. You've overcome some sort of obsessive and sneered person, okay? So think they control vanity and substance, right? Imagine thinking that you control the very thing that makes up the things in the reality that we live in, and then you also control the negative aspects of the, like, it's too much. Yeah, thinking they control vanity and substance, right, would do it all for naught. So they would do it. You guys know already that they would do anything and everything for naught. Like, it would be for no reason. It would be for, like, to cause, like, not to cause anything, but for no reason, quite literally for naught. If you ask me why these people do shit for naught, I can only give you the answer as mental illness. Okay. So it's an undersupplied market. That's what I fucking thought it was, right? It was never going to be an oversupplied market, especially not in the United States of America, right? So an undersupplied market, right? Pressure for meeting scarcity. You see? Pressure for meaning scarcity. So there's a certain scarcity here, right? Certain scarcity for housing and stuff like that. So there's pressure to meet that scarcity, right? It's pressure to meet the balance it out, basically to be ready, right? 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 Reliability is the merit of the situation. So the real buying and selling of an undersupplied market would be meeting urgent needs. You see the difference? There's necessities. You see why it's a crisis disrupted market? Because once the necessities are met, then the urgent needs would have to be met as well. How can I explain this? Once you have a kitchen, now you got to start thinking about where you got to get your food from, You see what I'm saying? That's the urgent need. So it's like you might have just paid your whole amounts of money, right? You've paid your whole bank account to make sure that you had a place to stay. But now you don't have any cash to, buy food. Well, luckily, right? And that's really what it is about. Luckily, right? And that's what it is that allows for meeting scarcity. So when it comes to luck, it has to do with readiness, right? And being prepared. those obsessive individuals were trying to stop you from being ready. And now the time is here. Actually, before we move on, I'm going to put up some barriers and boundaries, right? So there's already balance here, but they want to break the balance so that then the target for the breakage, right? Because when, let's say, if glass breaks, the or cracks, then the crack starts to spread, unless, right? Unless, luckily, you see what I mean? Um, and that's what I mean. It's like they want the crack, the breakage to spread towards equilibrium that we've already set, right? You see what I'm saying? But instead, it's being sent back to sender because they're being seen. Ow. I can't make it up, bro. Like, just hurt myself. Ow. They've been seen intentionally destabilizing groups to seize leadership. Yeah, they've been seen. It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. So path blocker persona closes off opportunity to force others down a chosen path. Right. That's the current energy that they're sending with curtain whisperer persona in reverse. They couldn't successfully lie to the leaders or lie to the leadership to be able to make something. So closes off opportunity to force others a chosen route, right? So okay, so now it's about ooh, so they can't know what opportunities are available within an undersupplied market because they're not innovative, right? They don't have the readiness to produce what is necessary um, to achieve the overcoming of scarcity challenge, right? They don't have what it takes. They don't got the it factor. They don't got it like how they think they got it, right? They also are projecting that energy at the collective, but now that is being removed. Okay, Canva for persona, extinguishing hope or momentum before it can grow. They also, this is where it is, they also lie a lot, right? Selfish. It's a hellgate. Yeah, they're being sent to hell. They look, projects expense to falsify dilution of interest. I couldn't make it up. So for example, now it's like someone who lies about and everybody else's income. Well, Jeff Bezos makes over this and this amount of money. You would never make it inside the market of creating your own social media, right? What a fucking lie, right? So this is what I'm trying to, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like they literally act like they are the people that they're trying to use as as like a puppet from the shadows. You see what I mean? So for example, yeah, this Stonewall persona is coming up as well. Refuses information or access to exhaust opponents. You see what I'm saying? So it's like um so it's like oh, I'll just say fuck it. I'll just mention it. So recently they were talking about a director, right? The person that, like, unfortunately I found out also like has that mental illness. But you know what I mean? I guess, I'm gonna pray for God. That's what I'm gonna pray for. That's what I'm yeah, that's what I'm gonna pray for. Is God. And so they wanted to make it seem like the person that did some to them was making so much more than anyone could perceive. You see what I mean? And that it was going to be improbable for anyone to get near that position without like their wisdom. You see what I'm talking about now? But wisdom is what it is that was necessary in an oversupplied market, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, in an oversupplied market. But that's not a market that exists inside the crisis disrupted market and inside the undersupplied market. Wisdom isn't what it is that is being, taken care of. Wisdom is actually begotten by the overcoming of those things in order for there to be an oversupply. But there's no real oversupply, right? That's the problem. You see why I talked about AI as well? They were trying to act like AI was just supplying people with so much. But in reality, it's not doing as much as people think it is. And so they're trying to leverage some sort of warranty of sympathy. That's what it is. They think they are warranted for sympathy that's actually belonging for someone else. They also want to make it seem like they're helping other people by their connections when that's not the case at all. Like, that's not the case at all. They want to make it seem like they have some sort of um, interconnected empathy, right? Which they refuse to say, by the way. They refuse to say the word empathy. It's like Jesus Christ to them. They definitely can't say Jesus H Christ. Like, they can't say Jesus H Christ like the way that they think they can, right? Like, if, like, for example, when you say Jesus Christ, you mean Jesus Christ. Some of these people will try and get around it by going like, oh, Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? But Jesus is like the gardener next door. You know what I mean? So that's who they're thinking of when they say Jesus. But they don't mean Jesus Christ. You see what I mean? They don't say the word Christ. They feel like it's going to catch them up. If they say Christ, that means God is going to look at them. You know what I mean? The God is going to see them. And that's God is always seeing. God is all seeing. The fuck? You know what I mean? So that's how they extinguish hope. They'll be like, oh, you want to be a top dog in a company? Well, that person makes so and so amount and they do so and so things and they do all and that and all this so difficult and then they try to switch the topic. Then they try to you know what I mean, over compensate. It's too much. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, but they can't pretend to refuse information anymore because people are seeing that they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's what they've been projecting, being selfish. You see what I mean now? So attempts to deflect intensity. You see what I mean? So they thought that they had successfully deflected my intensity, sort of like in a situation, abuses all servicehood. You see what I'm saying? So for example, I made just enough amount of money here working hard. You know what it took for me to make a lot of money here? I had to work really, 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 really hard. Almost harder than I've ever had to work before. Like, and I mean, I've been like, work trafficked. So like, I've never had to work so much. I've never had to do so much accounting before. I've never had to write so much. I've never, you know what I mean? In fact, now I'm realizing how much more I'm going to have to write, how much more I'm going to have to work, because that's exactly what it takes to succeed here. But these individuals want to extinguish hope for the ease that comes by hard work. You see what I'm saying? They want to make it seem like working hard isn't gonna work here, that it's actually working smarter. Yeah, yeah. This is one of those seasons. Gemini, this season is the season to work harder, not smarter. Okay? If you push yourself to succeed physically, mentally, and physiologically, you will receive the ease that would be necessary for you to live in that freedom. Okay? This is the season for that, Gemini. Okay? And I believe it. I believe it with the way that the intense energy is coming to me. I'm very intense individual. So like all this intensity hitting me, it feels like pop, pop, pop. It's hitting me. It's hitting me. It's like I'm in the Matrix and I'm Neo, except all the bullets are hitting me. I'm not dodging them because I'm all heal. You know what I mean? And I am, except it's when Neo gets hit by the bullets and then the bullet comes out of his skin and then it heals the wound. I was already called Wolverine. You know what I mean? So yeah, Emperor. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you see, that's what it is. That's what's being generous, the generosity right now. Yeah. Oh my goodness, not Jesus calling me. Okay, I'm being called. All right, I'll see you guys. Bye, 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 bye.